January was the usual time to catch up on farm maintenance. So, professional hedge layer Nicholas McIlvenna has come to show Alex how it's done.
So what we're doing here is actually just like filling the gaps here, and we've got to make a stock-proof barrier now. So we're going to be knocking in some stakes, weaving this in, and then the whole thing is going to knock together. In a year or two's time, all the shoots will come through and you'll have a living fence, basically. That's the idea.
You're thinking kind of a whole generation ahead. You're not really just thinking about, putting a fence up and hoping it lasts 15 years. Here, it's all about foresight and planning for the benefit of the farm.
Low cut. There he is.
Hedge laying is all about manipulating what grows naturally. Provided they're cut only part way through, branches will continue to grow. Because the very fabric of the hedges remains alive, these boundaries literally grow stronger over time.
What will happen when this next year, or in the spring even, is that little buds are going to appear here, all the way along, and if I leave this hook here, they'll appear there as well on the end. The tree will always grow at its ends. So that's why I'm going to chop the end off here as well. Yeah. See if you can get him up here.
Oh, up there, yeah.
Get that out of the way.
Yep.
Over the top here.
Yep. Oh, I'm with you.
And back down.
God, they are flexible, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And that's not going to kill it, the fact that it's there, that'll keep it...
That'll just encourage it to shoot there. That'll be all right. He's snagging up there. You can see where he's been rubbing on that branch.
This may seem like a gentle, rustic pursuit, but it helps if hedge layers are natural acrobats.
If I can.
Of course, today, hedging is considered a skill, but back in the 17th century, it's just simply one of those jobs that you'd have to get done, and you'd have to know how to do it. And, of course, the skills it involves are very similar to many of the other jobs that I've been doing, in particular thatching as well, working with the hazels and the gads. So I'm beginning to consider myself more a jack of all trades rather than a master of one. Right, it's really coming together now. When I first looked at the stretch we were going to hedge, it's very much like it is down here. You've got all sorts of different sizes, and it really just doesn't look very even at all. And yet when I look back up the hedge, it really looks really formal and really professionally laid. The more thorn and scrub and things that are sticking out towards the stock, the more they're going to be put off it. It's not going to look like really great, and it keeps them away from the green shoots. So the aesthetics of it aren't that important. And really, the natural form of the trees will define what it looks like, and just trim it back roughly.
Some of the animals have demolished an old field boundary, so dry stone waller Nicholas McIlvenna has come to give Stuart a much-needed helping hand.
Dry stone walling's the sort of skill that every farmer would have, because he'd patch the small bits himself. But for the bigger jobs, you'd have labourers who've worked up particular specialities. Some were hedgers and ditchers, some would have been dry stone wallers. So it was one of the ways in which they earned a bit of money to pay the rent.
The principles of stone walling are basically you've got random shapes and you're trying to fit them together into a kind of solid form, you know, interlocking, much the same as a jigsaw puzzle. In fact, I used to do loads of jigsaw puzzles as a child, and I attribute that to being able to do stone walls now. Yeah. Other way up. Yeah.
Tuck it underneath then.
You're holding a three-dimensional shape in your head. You see a gap, and you're looking around for that stone. And one way or another, you recognise it as soon as you spot it, and it slots in there quite easily.
Big ones for the edge?
I fancy that one there.
This one?
No, beyond.
That one?
With the layers in strata.
Dry stone walls weren't the only way of securing a field boundary. Hedge laying was a quicker option, but where hedges require regular maintenance, stone walls are a much more permanent solution. And the materials needed are quite literally lying around on the fields waiting to be cleared.
Once you've brought your stones in off the field, you've put them up into stable shape, you've got yourself a barrier which is going to keep your stock out for probably about 150 to 200 years, maybe with a little bit of maintenance where a cow's tried to get over or trees come down or something, but really it should be a stable block there. Swing her straight in there, Stuart.
There's two sorts of dry stone wall that you find around in the country these days. Some of the really ancient ones, which go way, way back, certainly back to the 1620s, and these tend to be small fields, curved walls, but you shouldn't confuse those with the sort of massive lengths that you get across the middle of the Yorkshire Dales, which are all Victorian or 18th century enclosure walls from the Acts of Parliament when they carved up the fells.
With the first section of wall finished, Nick and Stuart begin the next. Laying the foundations is the most important task. All the big base stones have to be precisely manoeuvred into position.
The tools of the trade are very basic and probably haven't changed for hundreds of years. Your lump hammer for just compounding the soil around, but also just breaking off your blocks and making sure everything's seated down. Just your basic lump of metal. And then the iron bar, which is probably the most valuable tool, because with that you can move anything up to 5-6 times your own weight and manoeuvre stones where you'd just break your back otherwise. So for me, if I had to choose one tool, it would be the iron bar for the wall. Here we have a modern day brickies hammer. It's very good for just doing the final little dressings and adjustments to stones if there's a fiddly bits or breaking a bit off there. Now this is a hammerhead which I found underneath some flagstones in the Tudor house not far from here at all. And it hasn't really changed in design over the period, as you can see. The weight and the profiles are exactly the same, and they would have done exactly the same job. Now the tradesman that lost this would have cursed. Important as these tools all are, the most important ones are your hands. Just go in there, in fact, it's been a bit of a problem. In the course of a day, you reckon on doing about 6 yards of stone wall, which isn't that much to look at, but it all adds up over the course of a week or two. You can get a lot of satisfaction from working with the stones, especially when you have a productive period. Maybe for a few hours, everything's just slotting in nicely, you've got some good stone, and it's all fitting in together.
In 2 days, Stuart and Nick have replaced about 8 metres of stone wall, making the boundary between the top orchard and the main field once again secure.